kind of angled outward. What are you trying to focus on when you're doing that type of press?
So normally I try to go close together to hit my outer sweep to have my quads bow out. Now, a little bit of TFI issue I have, I mainly just position them wherever I don't feel discomfort or pain. As far as how far I'm going, I try to go as low as I can without my tailbone and ass lifting up off the pad, because it takes the load off of the quad, places it mainly on the glute. And when I go too high up, if I put my feet real high up there, for me, the way that I'm structured and built, I do a lot of work with my hamstrings and glutes. And that's great, but my main emphasis right now is quads. So for me, today's a quad, light ham.
What do you think about guys, see guys going heavy, their feet are higher, or even mid-range on the leg press, but they're doing, half rep, but they are controlled. But like I notice a lot of guys nowadays are doing like half rep, they're staying, keeping a lot of the tension on the quad. What do you think about that?
I don't agree. I'm not a big fan. That being said, a lot of those guys have 10, 15 years under their belt and are massive. I believe in full range of motion. If you look at the most beautiful physiques out there, gymnasts, they do full range of motion. Once you've gotten a certain amount of size and strength, if you want to cut the range of motion down for whatever reason, fine. But another side note, I've always taken pride into doing ass to grass squats, going all the way knees to chest on leg press. And recently I've noticed that for me, that's become easy. What's harder is to stop at 90 degrees. So now, not right there on this exercise, but I try to stop at 90 because it's putting more load on my quads. And the fact of the matter is, it's just making the exercise more difficult. So there's always something you can do on every exercise to make it harder. And if it's harder, you're gonna work harder. If you're working harder, you're gonna recruit more muscle fibers. And if you recruit more muscle fibers, that means you're gonna gain more muscle tissue over time.
Right there. Good. So you guys notice I'm going to be doing a lot of my foot positioning really similar to what Arash is doing. The only difference being for me, what we should be doing for a lot of beginners and whatnot is always it's important to keep your feet flat on the platform. For me, I got 25 plus years of doing leg press, so as long as you're staying in control throughout the movement, especially on the negative and my contraction, you'll see that I'll tend to lift my toes, which will give me a little bit more of a contraction in my quad. The most important thing when you're doing that though is making sure I'm not locking the knees out while you're pushing and lifting your foot. So if I'm gonna lift my foot, I gotta make sure that I'm keeping the tension constantly on the quad and flexing. So it's as if I'm posing on stage and I'm gonna lift my toe and flex that quad. That's kind of like the motion that I'm going through right here, okay?
So one major thing you guys got to keep in mind that Stan brought up on the leg press is everyone's in a different place. I've been training for north of 20 years. Stan has been competitively, successfully bodybuilding for north of 20 years. So his agenda is not the same as mine. My agenda is not the same as yours. Yes, you need to lift heavy. Yes, squats are very important to build a foundation, but can you work around it depending on your body type and where you are? Absolutely. If you squat extremely heavy for years upon years, you're going to have some knee and possibly back problems. You guys have to understand the human body is unfortunately very weak and fragile. So you got to think smart. If you can get your legs big with maybe more volume or time under tension, or something else, it's good to give yourself breaks and not always going balls to the wall trying to squat 500 pounds for 1 rep maxes. It's just gonna put a lot of unwanted tension. And some of the most amazing shapely bodybuilders these days don't lift super heavy balls to the wall. And you guys that follow me and follow my Instagram and my YouTube know that I do implement super heavy training, and that's how I built my frame that I'm standing here before you today. But there's some days where I have to work around some aches and pains and some issues, or some days where I just feel I can benefit from playing with angles, time under tension, and volume, as Stan mentioned.
Absolutely. So, would you say that squats help build pretty much the foundation for you? Has this been a foundation movement for you since day one?
Absolutely. I was never super comfortable just getting under the squat bar heavy. I pushed myself for over a decade and I built my strength with squats. But because of the way I'm built, because I'm in my opinion, glute and ham dominant, squats, especially deep squats, don't necessarily put too much poundage on my quads. I like we were talking before, I like to elevate my heels. So for years when I was younger, I used to stand on 2.5-pound plates. Nowadays, I invest in squat shoes, which I don't have today, but they elevate the heels so they take the load and dump it a little bit more forward rather than behind. So rather than glutes and hams, it's putting the load on my quads. So you guys could try that. Elevate your heels and see where the tension is. Not only do I believe it puts more tension on your quads, but also it'll help you push through your heels, which you guys know, you always want to push through heels. Sometimes when you see someone squatting, you'll see them tilt forward and all the load is on their toe and their heels actually come off the ground. And that's not good for quad development or for stability doing a squat. So today's leg workout, pretty basic, straightforward. We did some cardio to warm up, did some mobility, warmed up with some light, high rep leg extensions, moved on to some heavy controlled leg presses. We did a good 5 sets there, give or take. I did about 5-6 sets of squats, worked up to 315 for 12, and then worked back down to 225 for 2 sets. Now I'm doing some working heavy leg extensions. And by working, I mean, I consider the leg extensions at the beginning of the workout just a blood flow and warm up. And now I'll try to go heavy here and we'll wrap the workout up after this. Hamstring curls, you want to make sure you keep your core stiff and you're not over accentuating your lordosis, the arch in your back. A lot of people will tend on hamstrings to over accentuate their lower backs, and you're using momentum to get the weight up, and you're also putting a lot of tension on your lower back. So make sure you keep your core stiff and just curl with the hamstring, and also play with your toes. curling your toes up to your knees versus away from your body will give you a completely different contraction during the movement. So play with that on various hamstring curls, lying, sitting, or standing, and you'll see the difference. Also, toes out versus toes in. Always play with these different angles and different variations. You want to be a gorilla? You have to act like a gorilla. All right, guys, so that's a wrap for my quad and ham day. It's a quad dominant day with a little bit of hams. So we warmed up with some leg extensions, moved on to 5 to 6 sets of leg press, feet close, toes out, did some squats, back to working sets of leg extensions, and finished up with one-legged leg press. And towards the end of the workout, I'll do 2 exercises. This week I did lying hamstring curls and standing. I'll do 2 exercises for hamstrings, and then on my hamstring day, it'll be hamstring dominant with 2 exercises of quads at the end. So I hope you guys liked it. Till next week.